Hey, what's going on, everybody? I hope you're all doing well out there. So today let's talk a little bit about Somerville. Somerville is the debut game from the new studio Jumpship, co-founded by one of the co-founders from Playdead, who made Inside and Limbo, two of my favorite games that I've probably ever played. I think those two are also considered some of the best games ever made as well. And if you've played them, then you kind of know what to expect from this game. There's many similarities, but there's also a lot of differences. And yeah, let's just jump into exactly like what those are and what makes this game a little disappointing in my mind, but we'll get to that. So you start out in just this normal sort of house family setting, just a couple parents asleep and a kid, a dog. They're all sort of just asleep watching TV or, on the couch. And then everything goes haywire. There's an alien invasion that happens. I won't say anything more than that because in a sense, that's all you really need to know anyway. It happens very early on, and I think you might know that if you've heard anything about this game or saw the trailer for it. That debuted like at a Game Awards, maybe at the Game Awards or at one of the E3 presentations. I remember seeing that, and that was like the first time and the only time I ever saw anything about this game, and I was really excited because it looked just really good from that trailer alone. And that's the only thing that you really, if you haven't heard anything about it, obviously this is maybe might even be a little bit more interesting. But yeah, there's just a mysterious invasion going on, and you, as this family, kind of need to get out because it's dangerous. There's stuff falling from the sky, and it's kind of insane. And there's planes and stuff and jets going to fight them. And there's no real explanation. There's no dialogue in this game. You kind of just have to try to figure out what's going on for yourself. And I really enjoyed that aspect to it a lot. The visuals in this game, though, that's what stands out the most. As I'm watching this footage back right now, I marveled at a lot of the scenery in this game, and it has a great atmosphere to it. And there was so much potential there. There was a lot of promising aspects to this. I loved the art design. Basically, when it comes down to it, I really liked the look of this game, or I really loved the look of this game a lot. And it didn't really ever go beyond that, sadly. So that's why I feel like, a lot of the potential that this game did have or does have, like, it just kind of falters a little bit because of other things like performance and not necessarily as many tech issues, although I do think there was some stuttering here and there, which I always kind of don't want to talk about because I don't know if that's on my end or not. But the movement with these characters didn't feel good. The controls, like whenever you had to press things, there's not a lot to do in this game. It's a lot of just kind of running in one direction and just kind of finding your way, and not a lot of interaction. But when there was interaction, I had a hard time of like getting into the exact right spot you needed to be, like right here where you need to kind of fist bump this guy. Kind of more of a handshake, I guess. But it was hard to get into that right position of like, all right, I'm pressing the button, nothing's happening. And that was a little strange, and it takes you out of the game, unfortunately. It feels like such a minor thing, but one of the best things about Inside and Limbo, and the reason why I go back to those games and I enjoy them every time I play them, is that they're so crisp, they're so satisfying. Like the movement in that is, you're never worried about it like being a little bit off. It's perfect the entire way through for both of those games. It just has a very nice fluidity, and everything about it's very satisfying. That's like the word that I think of. And when I think back to those games and when I play them, it's just like the gameplay of it is so fun because it just feels good. And it's hard to really explain why that is, but it's just, it's the success of how they made that game, and the mechanics of it really worked well. And sadly, this game doesn't really have that, and it relies on it a lot because there's not much more to it than just that. Like if you had good like movement here and a good feel to just that alone, the mechanics of it, the core mechanics, like maybe this would have been more fun to play. But there's not. It doesn't have that, and it also doesn't have much more to offer than that. Like this is one of the few things you can really do. You look for lights, and you have to like reveal, or not reveal, but you have to create a pathway and like kind of remove these whatever blockages that happened from the invasion. And you have like this power that he got from that guy in the wall, in the ceiling, in the roof or whatever, the ceiling. And yeah, it's just it's weird that that's like the only thing you get to really do in this game. You're also trying to avoid a few things, like avoiding this big pink light in the sky, as you'll see here in just a second. There's these cool little orbs on the ground that you need to like do some puzzles to help you out to also remove some of those blockages. But it's like there's not a lot of gameplay here. There's just a lot of like moving around and taking in the scenery. It's telling you a visual story. That's what this game really is. It's a lot of visual storytelling, and that's cool. I really think there's a lot of cool ideas here, and there's a lot of promise, but it does just kind of it never gets past like this middle ground of where I wanted it to go, and it wasn't a ton of fun to play all the time. I enjoyed it. It was a very short game, and I never wanted to stop. I think that's like the strongest thing about this kind of gameplay, this kind of like a gaming experience, I guess, like Inside and with Limbo, is that there's never like a real point where the game stops. It's always moving along, so it has a really good pace to it, even when you're not doing too much, and that's what really kept me going here. And there were a few moments like that right there where I died, because there's sort of like a puzzle element there to it, where you just need to. I took out the bottom part and the top part killed me, so there is that every once in a while, but not enough of it. I wanted more, and yeah, it's just there was a lot to like here. But again, I just like when I'm looking at it here, every time I'm seeing the visuals, I'm like, that's so cool. I wish that there was a more overall satisfying feeling to this game rather than just the visuals alone. There wasn't even like a great score to this because they kept it quiet, which can work. You know, the subtlety of it, keeping it like feeling grounded and not really taking you out of the environment. But at certain points of the game, there is a score, and it was really, really nice, and I wish there was more of that too. So there was a few weird choices here, and it overall just left me kind of feeling just a bit okay. You know, that wasn't bad. I downloaded this on Game Pass, so I didn't have to buy it, so it didn't really take me out. Like if I had to pay for it, it might have made me feel even worse about it. But it just it was disappointing. That's like the only word I can think of, because of how much promise that this did have and how much fun it could have been. But I think again, I don't want to like harp on it too much for that. I think they got a lot of this right. And if they do move on to another game here with this new studio, if they can like kind of find a way to bring in those core mechanics and the gameplay feel of Inside and Limbo with these kinds of visuals, you're looking at something that could be really special. And also maybe they gotta like fix or fine-tune the story a little bit. I didn't really care for the characters too much. I understood what they were going through, and there was a few times where there was a bit of some abstract storytelling as well, because of this weird it is a little bit like sci-fi in a weird but cool way too, and that blends into the storyline and kind of makes you have to piece things together to figure out what exactly is going on, because again, they're not just feeding you the story or telling it to you. So I liked all that. There's so much here that I want to say like that was so cool and that was awesome, and that's why I love this game. But it just was a little bit more style than substance, and that's a shame. But I still don't think that means I wouldn't recommend this one. I think if you liked Inside or Limbo, I think it's worth a shot. I wouldn't pay for it. Like, definitely don't do that, I would say. Which I feel bad saying. It's always kind of... It hurts me to say something like that. But if you have Game Pass, this is, I think, an easy one to download and check out. And yeah, that's basically all I have to say for it. That footage kind of flew by, so it kind of speaks to just how much I enjoyed watching that. But yeah, that was... about 10 minutes of me talking about the game there, and it felt like I didn't really even say anything. But that was Somerville. I hope you enjoyed watching, listening to that. And yeah, sadly, it was a bit disappointing, but I still had a pretty good time, and I did want to talk about it at least. And I was able to talk about it for 10 minutes with it just going by in the blink of an eye. So there's some to love here. I'm sure some people will like it so much more than I did. I thought the ending was satisfying, actually, so I don't want to go into all that too much. I'm already past all the footage, so I have to probably do some editing tricks here. But yeah, that was Somerville. Thank you all so much. I hope you're doing great out there wherever you are, and until the next one, everybody, take care.